The legality of data brokerage and the laws on selling personal information vary from country to country. The European Union, with its General Data Protection Regulation, known as GDPR, has some of the strictest data privacy laws, but data brokers still find ways to operate. In the US, data brokerage laws vary by state. In general, data brokers operate in the dark, skirting laws and regulations and maneuvering in legal gray areas. Like with many 21st century cybercrimes, laws often lag behind technological advances, and many players, from shady cybercriminals to large data broker companies, stay ahead with unethical, if not actually illegal, practices. Data brokers are regulated differently depending on the jurisdiction they operate in. In general, though, data broker regulations tend to be fairly weak. In the EU, the GDPR requires companies to obtain user consent when using online surveillance tools like tracking cookies. And while the EU attempted to tighten regulations on data brokers in April 2019, the data broker industry is still active and well in Europe. The US has even fewer regulations surrounding data brokers. Back in 2014, the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, published a report on the industry data brokers, a call for transparency and accountability, but there are still no federal regulations governing data brokers. The Fair Credit Reporting Act does ensure that credit reporting agencies let you view and correct errors in your credit report, but the law applies only to that specific type of data broker. In other words, it doesn't apply to all the other types of brokers out there, like marketing and health information brokers. Only California and Vermont have state laws governing data brokers. California's Consumer Privacy Act and Vermont's data broker law both require data brokers to register with the state and pay an annual fee. These laws contain consumer protections and serve to bring shadowy data brokers out into the light, but the protections extend only to residents of the respective states. It remains to be seen if more states will emulate these laws and try to increase transparency and consumer protection throughout the country. Opting out of data broker lists or getting your info removed from personal information databases is possible, but it is not easy. You can take one of three approaches. Contact data brokers for yourself, try to stay off databases in the first place, or use a data protection service. Unfortunately, there are thousands of brokers, and they certainly don't make it easy for you to contact them and get your data removed. It would take a significant time and effort for you to issue removal requests to all data brokers and follow up with them to make sure your data doesn't reappear on their lists. Our recent experience highlights the facts that we don't have control over our personal data, guys. Recently, I tried to remove my own data and found it to be very frustrating. Online rabbit hole, pretty much. You will find either task to be nearly impossible, and sadly, this is by intent and by design. They charge by the gigabyte and aren't paid for being accurate, and you don't pay them anything, so you aren't really the customer. You are just the unwilling victim. I started out my own quest by submitting removal requests for my data to 3 places: Epsilon, Experian, and Intellius. I picked these somewhat at random, but the trio gives you a good idea of what you are in for. Epsilon wanted 45 days to send me a free report, while Intellius wanted $25 for a monthly access to my full report. I could see a teaser of what they have collected, but to get the goods, I would have to pony up the cash. Even more annoyingly, they continue to spam my email with upselling requests for days later. Take a look below at the also known as entry here. Who is Davis Strom and why is he showing up in my report? You'll notice that there are 3 addresses shown here. The one that I didn't black out is the address of wife's former office. I don't know why it shows up here. I didn't have anything to do with her office other than visit her from time to time. And then at the bottom of the screen cap, there's a question asking if everything is correct. Sadly, there is no button to click to actually do anything about it. For both brokers, I had to verify my identity with my birth date and some facts from my credit history. That made me somewhat nervous. Was I just providing more details for them to exploit? Here's an example shown below. After you make it through the rest of the process, most of the information that Experian presented was stuff that I already knew, such as email addresses leaked by various breaches that I got notified of a long time ago. But unlike the services that informed me of those leaked passwords, it doesn't show the compromised passwords. It uses this as a come on to do a free trial of their ID scanning product, which requires a credit card to start the 30-day trial, which is gross. By now, you can understand my frustration. One of the first brokers to email me was Lexnexis, which told me that my request would take up to 30 days to process and suppress your information from our products and services. That's okay, I'll wait. They also state that they can't guarantee that this suppression will be total. It is possible that personal information may be reintroduced in our products in the future. Unfortunately, this experience highlights the fact that we don't have control over our personal information and data. Until legislation is passed and enforced to protect consumers, you can only do so much. One step in the right direction is to limit the data that companies can collect on you. While some information like public records can't be hidden, you can reel in other sources. Don't sign up for in-store loyalty programs. Yes, that means missing out on discounts, but it might be worth it to keep your buying habits hidden. Make all your social media accounts private. We're not crazy enough to tell you to delete your social media accounts, though it would certainly help, but you can at least tighten up your privacy. For starters, make sure you're using secure settings on Facebook, make your Instagram private, and try to lock down your other accounts. Use robust anti-tracking technology. Strong anti-tracking software camouflages your browser fingerprint to prevent advertisers and others from logging your online activity. Use a secure browser. Not only is online tracking one of the most common ways that companies mine your data, but using incognito mode won't hide you from sophisticated online surveillance tools like tracking cookies and device fingerprinting. For instance, you can use the free version of Avast Secure Browser or Brave. We will soon make a review on both of those products, so stay tuned for that. Use a dedicated anti-tracking browser, such as anti-detect browsers we talked about in our other series on privacy and web tracking. Such special browsers use advanced anti-fingerprinting technology, so you can browse privately and keep your info out of data brokers' hands. These are great privacy habits to adopt. Data brokers are often invisible and seemingly unstoppable, but you have the power to fight back. That's the end for our series on data brokers. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications so you do not miss out on our future videos. With that being said, stay safe and secure in 2022 and beyond.